right. Good morning, everyone who is watching this in a time zone where there is morning. And for the rest of you, I hope that you have had a great day, especially if some of the Singaporeans are joining us or someone from Japan, possibly. I don't know, but we'll see. Today is a bit of a special day. I have my first guest here in the stream, and I'm gonna let him present himself in a little bit. But just run through of the day. First, we're gonna have a little bit of a chat for 30 minutes. We're gonna talk about network growth and some things like that, and then we are going to go into the KPI and analytics session that will follow that. So it will be approximately 30 minutes each, but we'll see where we'll get to. But anyone who is here, who is watching, if you want to, you can write a good morning or a hello or something like that in the chat, just to tell everyone that you're here. And if you are watching from YouTube, then you know the deal. You got to hit that thingy, the thumbs up and things like that. And it's just to help out so that the more people get access to this. With no further ado, let's dig into this. It's 8:02 in Stockholm, and I want to welcome my friend Ace of Spades, or AKA Alex, or Alex AKA Ace of Spades. Good morning, Alex.
Здравствуйте, товарищи, and good morning, everyone.
So for those of you, for everyone who does not know you in this, let's just deal with a bit of good mornings. We have here Facebook user says good morning. We have Erik watching from YouTube who is saying good morning. Good morning to you. Martin is doing little wave. Alex. Who are you? And
this is me. Yeah.
What do you do on a daily basis?
I do nothing. I'm currently unemployed. This is detail you don't know about me. don't knew. I was studying trading for a couple of years, maybe more, maybe 3 or couple of years, 6 years into trading, and I'm currently interested in the stuff of marketing and digital marketing particularly, and was researching that topic for 2, maybe 3 years. Watched everything I could, read everything I could, and I was in searching of the best things to do in the terms of digital marketing, and I find you. This is how it happens.
And it's one of those rare cases where there is someone who actually understands and can get into a relevant conversation about those network topics, and that made me very happy, and that's why we're here right now. So you're into growth hacking, you said. What would you want to use it for? Do you know?
I won't use it in a contextual manner, because we have a surplus of content here now, and everything is very saturated, and it is too much of noise, and also it is too hard to acquire clients now because they are distracted all the time. And I'm currently building a system for me, for myself, is there my content will be relevant. And by relevancy, I'm saying not just hot news today and everything, and the topics that are occurring today. I mean all the stages that the clients are walking through by before they buy their product. They learning your concurrents, they're reading a lot of stuff, they wanted to see reviews and everything, and on different stages they need different type of content. And in order to acquire on those stages, I must have the features that are related to this type of content, and this is where growth hacking coming in, because the guy who wants just to learn about the industry, he don't need the stuff about tools, about methods, about best practices. He just wants to know in general what is happening. And the features on acquiring this guy will be quite very different than the features on acquiring guy who's already in the viral or maybe already learning the paid ads stuff, or searching traffic, free stuff. I mean, and I just wanted to connect everything so it will be more in a common sense for me. And this is how I find you, and this is why I wanted to contact with you and to work on that stuff with you, because I saw that you already had done a huge amount of job and experimental and curious about those things. And I was happy too when I found you.
Cool.
Very happy.
Yeah, so that'll be a first. No, but so in terms of like platforms that you work through in Russia, or do you work do you work outside of Russia, or where?
I had experience on different platforms, and it was forums. And one forum I have 600,000 of views. I have a topic there, and it brings me nothing, no monetized at all. 1 minute, please, my kid. Саш, выйди, пожалуйста, зайка. Или один платье. Иди.
With live streaming and kids.
Yeah, my kids at home because I'm unemployed nanny. So exactly. I had different forums, and it happens that I started at those forums like hello, I'm learning the stuff. Then I'm sharing my experience and my findings with the guys. And suddenly it organically comes, hello, I'm expert now. So guys start to ask me questions and everything. And I repeat this 3 times. It takes a long time, but it happens quite often. I mean, this is a stable system. And then I started to find examples of those things via the internet, because I can see those things and different guys. And I started to think about authority, and I'm working with YouTube. I'm planning with YouTube. I tried Facebook. I don't like it because it's algorithm very stupid. I mean, it recommended me the people's I like, but it doesn't recommend my stuff. They require pay me. So I was about how to trick the Facebook, how to make it advertising for me in front of the people who are maybe interested in my stuff. But as you say, a little amount of people's interested into going deep into the stuff. But quality of those peoples are very high. And Instagram in my plans, and maybe podcasts. I don't know. I'm just now thinking about offline too, because acquisition of clients may happen everywhere. And this is about the QR codes too. I was thinking a lot about QR codes and how to make the stuff of them work. So this is the set.
And this is something that some people get very stuck on the notion that everything has to happen through a screen, and that's, I mean, I just as last week when we're talking about the turning the world into a website, it's one of those things where if you are able to just like take away all the boundaries that you have with like screen interaction, then it becomes so much more fun to work with growth. I mean, I was talking to a company last week, and I was telling them that one of the best ways of acquiring new app downloads is by using QR codes in restaurants, because people are idling all the time. They don't have anything to do, and so they start like scanning codes to find things to do. And so it becomes much cheaper to find deals with like restaurant chains than it does to actually have like buy ads or do app store optimization. But let's dig into the topic. You had some question that you wanted to.
I wanted to ask questions about your stuff. But by the way, I have idea about the app. It calls the poop book. When you're in the toilet and you start to. So okay, 1990s. So we now with you doing the stuff. I mean, we merging the bubbles. because I'm from Russia, you are from Stockholm, and now algorithm, when it will see that those two guys are connected together, will recommend your videos to English-speaking Russians.
Yeah.
Because it thinks it may be suitable for them and interesting. And if I will post my video, it will recommend to you guys. I mean, geographically. So we're merging two different bubbles now. And this is what I wanted to ask you. It is obvious that exist different types of bubbles. I mean, tech bubbles like Facebook, YouTube, this is a different bubbles. Instagram, Pinterest, this is two different bubbles in which users are currently dwell. So which bubbles, in your opinion, exist? Maybe some semantic bubbles or infrastructure bubbles. What you have in mind about this stuff?
I mean, there are three main bubble types that exist. They're interest based, meaning like tech and medical, and like based on a topic. Then there are relational, meaning like you and I. The algorithm will define us as closer now than before this talk and before we had a video. So that's relational. And then there's geographical. So, for example, when you search for pizzeria and you're in Stockholm, you will get different results than you would if you were in Malmö or in New York. If you just search for it. So they're looking at the geographical position you have, they're looking at your interest, and they're looking at how close are we in terms of relation. So when you're building a network, those are the three aspects that you could work with. And funny enough, those are also three very strong components of news evaluation. So in terms of working with traditional PR, geography relation, like how close we are to the topic, and how close we are to people, like the people that this concerns, where it was low. That those are very strong signals to the algorithm to show whether or not we should. Whether or not it should be shown. We can see now that it's more so on Facebook, it's going more towards relational. Like it's not as much about topic, but it's more about how close we are as our social graph, like how close we are as friends. On YouTube, on the other hand, it's completely topic and how often you are likely to watch a long part of that stuff, Mm-hmm. And in Google, it's both geographical and topical. So it depends on what platform you're working on, what type of bubbles exist there, but they do exist, and it's just like the real world, our offline world, where we have our city where we live, friends that we meet, topics, interests that we have. So yeah.
Cool. And I have another question, regardless the things you said. Do you have any clues of things changing? I mean, they changing the stuff. I mean, the bubbles and how they treat them and everything. Any little signs or markers of the ongoing process?
Yeah, most because of regulation, most platforms are broadening they're limiting their analysis of people. So if, for example, that's why, like if you go, that's also different. Like if you look at TikTok, for example, it takes them just a few seconds to figure out who you are and what type of content you like. So they're using quite a lot of data points on you. Whilst YouTube is becoming pretty at that, and Google is doing it a different way. So what we're seeing is that they're using less data points, I guess, or they're not analyzing it the same way because it's not legal anymore to do that. So that's one of the things that I see. Then I see a lot of people are becoming more limited, but like purpose driven. So we are not interested in as many topics anymore, just as you were saying, with the cluttering and the overwhelming amount of content that exists out there. So that's also something that I see. So you have to be specific and niched. So if you break into a new market with a new software or product or something like that, then you shouldn't go for the whole market at once, but you should try to look at a niche and only focus on that niche and try to get strong in that niche in order to then be able to then move between bubbles, just as we're doing right now. So
Yeah, you need to be strong and understand the bubbles in order to merge them and to poke them. This is the cool stuff. And this leads us to the second question. The poke technique or emerging technique. I mean, as I said to you, I'm not very keen into the cars. I don't like cars. I like yachts. So I'm 90 into the cars, but I'm 1 or 9 into marketing and digital stuff and into growth hacking. And how can you make me 1 or 9 into the cars? Any clues on that?
Yeah, we used to have this tactic where that we used a lot. We haven't used it for quite a while because usually there are enough 1s and 9s to collect. But if I am lacking a few of the people who will then translate my content to other people, like for example, if I want to turn if I want to turn a 9 into a 1, what I have to do is to use. There is this book called The Game. And The Game is a pickup artistry book that supposedly, it supposedly works on picking up partners at a restaurant or at a club. But what it does is that it helps you with techniques to build attraction. And so when you work with a 9 and you want them to start producing content for you, it has to be a sufficient amount of they need to feel a sufficient amount of attraction to do the work, because they are self-rewarding personalities within your topic. So in order to turn them into content producers, you will have to sort of show them that if they do that, they will get rewarded somehow. So this is where we bring in social incentives. And so when we take a 9 and we start talking to them, we sort of skip them every once in a while. We don't answer their questions, but we rather answer a serious question. And we like and promote serious answers and people who do promote their own stuff. We make this very visible to the 9 that this is how you should behave if you want to get those social incentives that we're giving this 1 or this content producer. And by doing that and by making sure that they see it, such as YouTube is doing this as a tactic all the time, where they're using the thumbnails when they are promoting certain types of thumbnails because they want more people to create those types of thumbnails. And then if someone tells everyone that this is the thumbnail that you should use, or this is the thumbnail tactic that you should use, those are the things that you should be doing as well, like showing them this is what you should do in order for me to promote your content or to help you out. If you want a 9 to go really active or really passive, like if you have a critical 9 and you want them to tone them down, you do something that you do a follow and a direction. So you talk to them and you agree with everything they're saying. You're like, okay, this is nice. It's good to get feedback, blah, blah, blah. What do you think about this specific topic? And then you direct them away. So, for example, I had an example just a few weeks back in a group that I was working with, and we had a super trolling kind of user in there, and we started working with him, and he was just trolling us, and I just absorbed, and then I directed him into a different direction, where I asked him can you please do the same analysis on this thing over here? And all of a sudden, he came back a few days later with content or with an analysis on that. And then he went back into trolling. So you have to work with them for a while to do that. But he had then turned from a 9 into a 1. So you just absorb them and then you direct them in another direction. If you want to turn a 90 into a 9, you got to ask open statement, closed question type of question. So it might be, easiest example here is, how was your weekend, good or bad? How was your weekend is an open question, and then it's a close, and you close it down by just giving 2 options. Same thing, like we are launching this product in June, open statement. Do you want it in black or brown? Closed question. And what you do then is that you limit the amount of work that people have to do in order to start commenting and start interacting, because they only have 2 to choose from instead of having everything to choose from. And that's a much easier choice. And as people start to comment, they become more comfortable in interacting with you. And as they do that over a period of time, they will start taking their own initiatives, writing longer comments, and that's when they've gone from being a 90 into being a 9. And those are two of the easiest tactics to turn 90s into 9s and 9s into 1s.
As I see you talking already about the stuff, then their own page. I mean, then they already acquired. And how we can do this on acquisition stage? I mean, I'm not into cars, so maybe you can make something for me that I can see the video about cars and share with my guys and share with who I know. I don't know, maybe some tactics or techniques. Which one I use? This is harassment. I mean, I experimented with the taboos and viral buttons. If you read some of the books, I am pretty sure you read them, and they tell that if you make people angry, they will share your stuff. And I tried that, and it worked. I mean, those 90s, they became 9. So look at this guy, he's doing crazy shit. I mean, they started to share my content. Maybe you have more of that stuff. I don't know. Maybe you can point me in some direction, because I want to widen my arsenal of tactics.
So the first, let's see here, Majestic. Let's do 2 tactics pretty quick. The first thing is, if you see something that is trending on the topic where you want to acquire those people, like you want to talk to the same audience essentially, and it happens on Instagram in this case, you can go to this person's profile. They have 111,000 followers and talking about marketing for entrepreneurs and things like that. This is a pretty relevant target group for you and your content, right? So then there is this service, this plugin that you can get you can get it for your Chrome browser. And what this plugin does is that you can export a full list. Get list of users. No. Oh, I did it wrong. Leave. You can get a full list of the followers of this one. I only want the people who are followers, only followers. Get list of users. And then it's extracting those 100 and all those users. And then in the next step, so this will take a while. This takes about, like, for 110,000, it will take about 2 hours to extract all of them. And then it will go on with the detailed info collection here that will take about a day. So it takes a long time for this because it has to pause a lot with Instagram. And once it does that, you will get all the emails that are public as well. And that's one way in which you can, and this is called, like, you can just do an export list of followers from Instagram. Google that and you'll find this Chrome plugin. And it's free up to 1,000, and then it costs a little bit of money if you want to scrape bigger accounts than that. But that's how you can start having a look at this. And what you do then is you look at which posts were the biggest interaction on here. This one, for example. And so you start looking through the posts here and you start to figure out what type of content attracts these people. And then you start creating a bit of that content, and then you start emailing them or using them in audiences and things like that. And that will actually help you grow fast or find your initial people. You can do the same thing with, I will not do that now, but you can do the same thing with let's say I want to launch another epic split. I want to launch another epic split video here. It has 100 million views, and I also want 100 million views on my video. Now we know that 80% of views comes from outside of YouTube. And so I want to know who were the 9s that shared this, that gave this 100 million views. Like, what were the websites that shared this in order to give it 100 million views? And I can also use this link in here, but let's start with the first link. So I just post this into Majestic, and I can find here 165,000 historic places where this was posted. And if I look under referring domains here, I can find, I need to log in. 6216.
This is so crazy. I mean,
But
that stuff is crazy.
Here you can see all the websites that have embedded this video, and so now you can go. You can do even more. You can. I don't know how long we want to stay in this one, but you can export this data. I'm just going to export the 1,468 results here, and I'm going to do it as a CSV, and then I'm going to open Tableau. Tableau public. I don't have it anymore, so it's going to give me a renewals thing here. So I want to find which are the 9s now that are the most important for me to reach out to. And so I open this text file, downloads. Where is it? 220. Oh, this is today. There we go. I opened this. Maybe they don't have this data. No, this was the wrong one. Actually, I need to go in here. Backlinks. Here, and then I export this data. And to CSV, export. And then it's, I go in here. File, new. And for those of you watching this, what we're trying to do is that we're trying to find out who should we contact first when we want to launch a video that is similar to the Epic Split. So I open the text file here. Let's see if I can get backlinks. Yeah, open. And now, why is it like this?
It's the metric. Metric has you.
Of course. Well, yeah, okay. Yeah, now I got it. Okay. So I go in here and yeah, now I see first index date. I put that here. And then I take number of records. I put that here, maybe. Yeah. And I do per day. Oh, we switch this around like so. And we do more measure. Yeah, there we go. There we go. And this will be a really fun looking graph. And
I like graphs.
Yeah, me too. Running total. There we go. So here we have one of those curves. And just for those of you who haven't seen this yet, this is what a viral curve looks like. So when it goes from starting point, then it starts to accelerate. You can figure out. You want to know who these guys are down here, because those were the guys, whatever they said, made this thing go viral. And so what we do then in the analysis is that we try to look for these points where the curve shifts upwards, or here where the curve started shifting upwards. So I want to find who this is, and then I see the date when this link came about, and then I just go back to the document and I find that, and I figure out what did they write that made this video start moving, going viral. So that's also a technique that you can use. And I mean, you can go back and forth. I'll probably record a separate video on that tactic. Then there is the same thing. You can do the same thing for a website like Spotify, right? So you take this domain. You can use Majestic in order to get the backlinks. There are a ton of backlink options for this. And then you can you get the backlinks for Spotify, and then you can go all the way to the back when they started, and you can start looking at who were the first who started linking to them, and you can sort of backtrack. And so you can do this for any kind of competitor that you have in the field where you are going to get into. You can do this in order to sort of get an initial market that you can start working towards. Because then you export these links, and then you open Outwit, for example. Let's see if I have something that I don't want to show in that one. And Outwit, I already have the tutorials up on my up on my YouTube channel. So if I want to have all the email addresses for all of these websites, for example, I just export them. I turn them into links as I show in that video. And then I go and I use this scraper. It's called Outwit. And then you get an export looking like this, where you get all of the email addresses out here, right? So it just goes through all of those websites. And depending upon what legal zone you are in, you have more or less, it depends what you are actually able to do in terms of like early stage acquisition.
By the way, we accidentally already used and organically used different tactics. I mean, mention about metrics. Now it will recommend to metrics who interested in that stuff. OSINT. What use is OSINT and data science? Now it will recommend to those guys who are in data science and the web scraping.
Web scraping is just like, but you can do it for ages and ages without any purpose. But these are very simple tools. You don't have to know that much, but what you need to know is, one, how legal this is in your country, and two, you need to understand how you then use all of this. Because if you use it to spam people, for example, then you are, because what happens if you start spamming people is that, one, your server will turn sour, so you cannot contact anyone in the future, and two, you will lose an opportunity, because these are valuable contacts. They're already interested in the topic that you're working in. Most legal regions, they allow you to contact people one-on-one, and for some of these users, I strongly recommend that you do that, because having 100 of them in a Facebook group or in an email list or in a WhatsApp group, is super, super powerful. I'm just going to bring in some questions here. We had a question from Jasmine Yaya. She asked, what is that plugin called? It is called, let's see, export list of followers from Instagram. It's one of those plugins that you can find. I'll show you. I'll send you the link otherwise. How different does tactics need to be? Example 1990 in terms of cultures, countries, socioeconomic. Are there any differences at all? No, there are not. The only country, as usual, where we have problems working with 1990 or with anything is Spain. Not Spanish-speaking people, but Spain. I don't know what it is with Spain, but if I do one tactic in the rest of the world, I have to do a different tactic when I work in Spain. So if you work in Spain, do not rely on my recommendations, but try to do the opposite, and it will probably work. Can we make a donation for Jesper for a full Tableau?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can make a lot of donations to Jesper.
I have one of those. I'm gonna actually try to make a collaboration with them, because I don't think that their tutorials on their website is useful for marketers, and I would like that to be the case. All right, so let's go back. So that's how you begin doing these things, how you begin to harvest the network of what you'll get is ones and nines that you will be able to contact, and that's usually sufficient to get something going.
Yeah, cool. This is, by the way, was one of my questions: how to spot in the semantic bubbles those who are spreading a message, and which content formats do you think is best? I mean, stream, like we do now, or it is explainer, or how to, or it is some sort of Mr. Beast stuff.
But I like the content is less important than the channel you use. I really like this question, because one of the times when you're so focused in your bubble, you forget that you're buying the same users all the time. Like, you cannot transition into another bubble if you stay within the same medium. So one of the things that you actually have to do is to go to non-indexed media formats. So participation in podcasts, really good. It's not bubbled. If you're a big company, you have money for TV, really good. Radio, really good. Search, like trying to rank something in Google search, you can buy for topic, you can buy for audience, like really good. You can break your bubble if you are in forums, like in big like you experience, like you can get new forum, and then all of a sudden you're the one in that forum. You're the expert. After like oh, okay, this is scary. But it's
Get over here.
Yeah. Young Padawan. But either way, so that's how I would recommend you go about doing that. We have about, I would say we have about like one more question.
One little question. Why you want to go out of the media and to go into not indexed? Why?
Because like if you want to break from, like as I was saying in the beginning, when you want to break from early adopters into early majority, and you want your product, like if you have a nerd product for only nerds, then you don't have to do that. If you only work with your like community that are already interested, and there are several like SaaS, like SaaS products that are perfect for that. They don't need to go into early majority. They only need to stay within the community that will actually use them the most. But for any consumer good, any like online service, any like streaming service, they need to break into the early majority in order to get more of the market. And so what they need to do is that they need to first focus on empathy in the beginning. Like, do people love this service, so that they will give us some kind of credibility when we break? That's the first focus. And then in the second phase, they need to like, how can we make that value that these nerds are feeling? How can we make it feel as valuable as possible? And that's when when you have those things, in order to break into the mass market, you have to go into non-indexed media types. And this is when I talk about like media planning, and when we do look at those kinds of things, I do it always the opposite way around. People start by launching their service using TV and things like that without even having tested them for empathy. Like, are these products that people will love? Do we have different ways of explaining this? But they go directly to TV or radio, and I believe that you have to do the opposite way around. And so if you want, so my answer to your question, the short answer is, if you want to get into a mainstream market, you have to go into non-indexed. You don't have to, but you should if you want to do it fast.
Yeah, I know we're stretching your time, but I have to add, because the YouTube and the other platforms, they're interested in making money and holding you on the platform. This is why they actually indexing you, and they want to cluster you and to hold you into the frame. And this goes with every user on the platform. And this is why sometimes you need to break their rules in order to have a vast majority, bigger audiences.
Yeah. That's exactly the case. They hold you hostage to your own bubble.
Yeah.
In terms of now, I am like, let's do another one of these if we
absolutely fine.
And but I have the promise that I was gonna do the KPI stuff as well.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us, and I'm sure I like this conversation.
They like it too.
as you progress in this, let's have another.
Yeah, I like it too, and I have insights on what you were talking about, and this is very cool, and I can talk about this for hours. So
I know.
Let you guys to do the rest of the stuff. Thank everyone. Thank you everyone for joining. Jasmine, Yaya, thank you for the unintentional use of the breadcrumbs tactic. See you guys. Пока. Пока, пацаны. Ну, выключай уже, ребят.
All right. So everyone in the comments, just go ahead and thank Alex there as he leaves the stream. And now I feel all empty because I don't have a friend here in the stream, but I'm sure that that will not be a problem in a little bit. As I said in the posts that I wrote, I was going to go through because it was the most liked, most topic in the ones that we suggested. So I was going to go a bit through the KPIs, and I'm just going to open the other screen here. So, and I am going to go into KPIs. Well, so anyone who has any questions about KPIs or analysis that you want to share with everyone before we begin digging into this exciting thing, It's all about being data driven and how you can use data in order to drive your growth. And I always find it, so as you get your questions, just post them in the comments and we'll get to it that way. The one thing I like to start with whenever I talk about KPIs and things like that is the Donald Rumsfeld's view on analytics. It's a bit of a joke. It's from the book Lean Analytics. And what it does is that it focuses on, like, there are things we know, and those are facts. Like, we know that we know them. They are truths. They are facts. There are things we know that we don't know. Those are questions. Very good spot to be in if you're trying to reach like a growing company or grow a company, is to have questions. If you have questions, then you're moving forward. I'm not alone. Jasmine Jaya says, no, I'm not alone. Hopefully, hopefully in my head, I feel alone now. Either way, then there are things we don't know, we know. And this intuition. And this is something that people usually forget in terms of data. Like, our body is very good at identifying things we should be knowing, or like we should be doing, and analyzing suggestions and things like that. And we just feel it. We don't really have any solid proof, but we feel that this is right. Like, when you meet a really good creative, then they will tell you something and you don't have any proof at all. You don't have any benchmarks. It just feels great what they're saying. That's your intuition at work. And then there's the danger zone, and those are the things we don't know that we don't know. And this is where we not even looking for answers. We don't have these questions. We don't know that we don't know those things, but we don't even have the questions. And so these things we can just do, the facts. These things we can find out by research. The intuition we need to trust, and then we need to meet people, watch like streams on YouTube, listen to podcasts, go on meetings, where people can say things to us that don't feel comfortable, that we then know that we don't know. So this is the danger zone. If we are working with stuck-up people or in a hierarchical organizations where the leaders say they know the truth, that's a danger zone thing. Like, this is how we've always done it. This is how we continue to do it. It's those kind of people. They don't know that they don't know, and they should be fired. So this is what I like to use in terms of, how I weigh different things, like decisions based on data. If I talk to a creative, then I will not use that much data because their creative magic is important. If I do A/B tests, then I am always good at having questions. And then when I have facts, I just work with process to make it as efficient as possible. And for this stuff, I have a danger because I don't really like meeting new people. But I have to. When I feel stalemate in my life, like when things are not happening in my life, then I start to do that. So this I just have in the back of my head in order to prioritize how much I lean on data when I try to make my decisions. Now, there are 3 types of data that I regularly use. The first one is goals. And goals is not that useful in terms of driving growth. And goals, what I mean by that is whenever you have like a victory, you know that you're going to reach this goal. But after you reach that goal, just as in life, if you don't enjoy the ride to that goal, reaching that goal is like a second, like it happens, and then it's over. And then you like, so what was the purpose of life? It's all of these numbers, your sales targets we need to reach before doesn't help you improve, doesn't help you become a better person, and it doesn't help you drive the growth of your company. And the reason is because they don't teach you anything. You don't learn anything by measuring goals. Like, yeah, we reached the goal. Great. How did we get there? Oh, if you didn't track how you got there, right? If you didn't measure how you got to the goal, then you're a pretty shitty place because you cannot repeat it. And so if you only measure goals, you are doing yourself like a non-service. That's not a word. You need to measure the movement towards your goals, and that's the most important thing. Now, before I go into the kind of KPIs that help you do that, I'm going to talk about something that I like a lot, which is useful KPIs. Now, a lot of people talk about vanity metrics, and yeah, vanity metrics are things like YouTube views, visits to your website, a lot of followers, fans, and things like that. And they're not usually very useful, or they don't help you. They don't drive your growth any, unless you use them. And that's why I've turned them from vanity metrics into usable KPIs. So what usable KPIs are these three things. Like normal organizations are split into three different sections: PR, marketing, and sales, or in terms of the marketing part of things, or growth, or maybe we should put in product here as well. But this is something that I have had a lot of fun with. And the need for PR is to have a reason to speak. But their goal is to influence people. So if they don't have a reason to speak, no one will listen to them. So they always need a reason to speak. But what they're looking for is influence. And how they can reach influence is by having vanity metrics. Let's say someone has posted some popular content that received a lot of likes or views. The next time they post something, they can post pretty much anything at all, because of their legacy, they have a reason to speak and people will listen to them. So vanity metrics, if you have a lot of followers, you can talk to other people who have a lot of followers. If you have a lot of likes and engagement, you can say that your content is popular, which makes it relevant to journalists and things like that. So in terms of PR, your goal is influence, but the objective to get there is by using vanity metrics the right way, or one of the ways in which you can do that. In terms of marketing, your need is to reach people. Like if you don't reach people, then all other things are just, they don't matter at all. Now, it doesn't really matter if you reach people if you don't have their attention. So your goal is really to grab people's attention. So reach is your need. Like you need to reach people, but your goal is to have their attention so they do what you want them to do. And the way you can measure that is by having engagement, because if you have something with a lot of engagement, then the attention will naturally go up. If you see something that is liked 1,000 times, then you will more likely look at that than something that is liked one time, because it's something that is popular. If you do the push-up thing, you do it after, like, if you're conservative, you do it after 50 people have done it. But if you're like a new user or like a opportunistic, you do it after first person has done it. So the number of engagement, it governs the attention and the reach you'll get, because engagement also gives signals to the platforms, click-through rates, likes, shares, all of those things that increase your reach, depending on what platform. And you have sales, and they're looking for high value, because the higher value at any product gets a higher price point if you have a perceived value that is high. But what you're looking for is conversion, like sales. That's your goal. And the way you increase that is by having a reputation. If you're in the restaurant, hotel, lifestyle, or like entertainment or event business, then you need to have a good reputation as well. All other industries are, you can have a bad reputation, only that you have the more reputation you have, the better. Like if you're a doctor, I would say you probably don't want bad reputation as well, but you get sort of intuitively what kind of sectors you need a good one, and what you just need a reputation. And so these work very well together, because high reputation means higher engagement, means higher vanity metrics. And so if you work with driving vanity metrics, engagement, and reputation online, those are the usable KPIs. A lot of mentions, for example, a lot of activity on your posts, and big numbers that you can either do the proper way, or you can spam them, depending upon what kind of company you are. They will all give you reason to speak, reach, and high value, and then you can work with your influence, attention, and conversion as a quality metric. So these are usable KPIs, and I just like to keep them in the back of my head, because if I show this to PR, marketing, and sales, they start talking to each other, because they understand that they're dependent on each other. And when they understand that they're dependent upon each other, what happens is that they actually start collaborating. And when that collaboration happens, when you get functional teams, then your growth productivity goes up, like the thing that you can actually govern. And as your productivity goes up, then you are in a much better place. So team is everything. If you have a team, you can do this alone as well, and then this doesn't matter. But if you have a team, then team is everything, as if you like your way of utilizing it. Either way, so these are usable KPIs. Actionable KPIs, those that actually change our behavior, are not these kind of vanity metrics. But this is from the book Lean Analytics again. And if a metric don't change how you behave, it's a bad metric. And what they mean when they say that is that if I look at what was before and I look at what's now needs to be better than what happened before. If it's better than what happened before, then I change my behavior into what's now. If it's worse than what happened before, I go back into the old behavior. So it's like A/B split testing, for example. If we find that our A/B test is successful in terms of increasing the revenue of our page or something like that, then we know that that is our new way of operating, our new way of working. And so that is how it changes our behavior. A goal, for example, if you haven't measured, as I said, the journey, if you don't know how you got to a goal, if you haven't paid attention throughout that time, that movement towards this goal, then you cannot change your behavior, because you don't know what you don't know. You don't know the stuff that took you there, right? 4 things. The good KPIs, regardless of which ones you choose, needs to be comparable. I mean, you can compare the then and the now, very important. Understandable, like if people love dashboards, but they only look at 2 KPIs on those, or 2 metrics on those dashboards, then only have those 2 metrics. Don't just make it a big, nice looking dashboard with a lot of things on it just because it looks prettier, but make it useful by making it understandable. It states a change, and this is usually a delta, like users per or this metric over time, or some change, usually a percentage, and they change your behavior. So what type of metrics are those? Well, there are these periodic tables of marketing signals out there. If you search for periodic table KPI, you will get enough suggestions on how to actually work, like what type of KPIs that you really need, or you will find KPIs to measure what you want to measure. That's what I want to say. So you go ahead and do that. For those of you who just want to not listen to this anymore, you will find all the KPIs that you need in these ones, and it will solve your KPI problem. But in terms of growth, there are some specific ones for different stages. As I wrote in the post, I was going to look at marketplace, SaaS, and I think there was something else. But the way I look at it is through the 1, 9, 90. And this is like early adopters, 1s and 9s. And then there is the early majority. And what you want to do is measure different things along this growth curve, because there are different things that are important to you that you need to put emphasis on. And so I split that into a few sections. And in the beginning, what you need to look for are empathy. And what I mean by empathy is that you need to change your product, or as they say in Lean Analytics, you need to launch your product to find out the product that you're supposed to launch. And you need to figure out, together with the early adopters of your product, what is important, what is it that makes this thing cool, how can you communicate that, why, what needs are as a basis of this. And you use a lot of qualitative research methods in order to do that. So you use jobs to be done interviews, ask method, you do n-gram analysis on texts and things like that, in order to figure out what do people actually say when they work with, when they use us, what are they actually talking about? And then as that starts to look, you start looking at initiatives per user. So as you start amending your messaging or your product, your user experience and things like that, you will see that the initiatives per user, like in the marketplace, for example, it's important that people post more things in the marketplace and that more people look at those things. So initiatives per user is a very good thing to measure. Change requests per user, that's also a measure of how active and how much people need, like the base need for your service. And then change in network size is how much do people, how general is this need? Is it just for 4 people, or are people dropping in organically along the way? That's really important to have a look at. But once you start figuring out what you're actually going to launch, what are the things, the needs, the solutions I'm actually offering to the market. Once that becomes pretty clear, you will see that adoption will start to take place. And then there is a whole another set of KPIs I would look at. Time to wow them being the most important. What is the time between the first and the second visit? How much time does it take for a user to see your service one time and then return? From download to join and then to return a second time. You need to shorten that as quick as possible, because that will actually help. That's a strong signal that a user has found usability in your app or in your website or in your service. Not the first visit, not the downloads, but the time they visit the second time. That's a strong measure. And the time between that needs to decrease. So you need to find ways in which you can do that with notifications and with user experience and things like that. Then you start measuring monthly active users and daily active users. Pretty straightforward. Then it's links to post. Like if you're using content marketing, for example, you want people to share this and you want people to write about this in their blog or publish it in newspapers and things like that. And that will create links to your website. And that is very useful for your search engine optimization. And so you should start measuring links per post and try to optimize for that KPI if you're driving, like if content marketing is your main acquisition strategy. And then you look at direct traffic. As your direct traffic grows, you want to see the growth rate of direct traffic based on the historic things that you've done. And you want to look at that in terms of cohorts, because that's also a signal that your brand is becoming more recognized. Then you want to look at the K factor, and K factor is a measurement of virality, which means that for every new user you acquire, you want that to be 1.2 users. That's usually the first metric that we set up, so that people will not recruit only one, but recruit 1.2 people. And then it's to look at social channels. That's also a measurement of your brand reach, or how well known your brand is if people start to follow you more on social media. As adoption starts to take place, you see that your virality is going up, like people are recommending your service. You see that people are coming back to your service, and people are starting to recommend you and talk about you. Then adoption is high. Then you're in a good spot. You need to shift your focus to other KPIs. And you go into optimization KPIs, which are the classics like return on ad spend, blended CPA, meaning like for all your channel, what is your actual acquisition cost. Cost per source. This is when you start looking at different types of sources and comparing them with each other, looking at attribution modeling, like which channels are good to find new users and which ones can I talk to my existing users, and how can both of them create value for me and how can I create value for them. Then it's in terms of SaaS companies, this is closing rate. If you have a list of 100 leads, then how many of those can we close? That's very important to look at this. And you start to optimize your sales manuscript and things like that. Then you start looking for like ads, CTR, and the cost per view, like cost per click-through rate and cost per view of your ads are really important. Then we have the next step. Once you have this like optimized to hell, then you will see that you will start to decrease the number. Like your growth rate will actually slow down at this point, because you will have found the edges of your network, of your bubble. So it's only that big. And in order to change that, in order to make it increase, to open it up, to make this curve a little bit longer, and to maybe you like get into a new group of people to have another growth bump, as we saw in this one. There were several times, like here was one network, here it was one network. Then we have the A/B test. We go into A/B testing, and then you measure how many A/B tests can we do per week, right? This is where your production capacity becomes really important. So you want to do more A/B tests per week. And you want to look at new visits as a result, and you want to look at that in number of cohorts. So you don't want to measure all of your users at once, but just like compare the new visitors from this week with the new visitors from last week. How do they, behave on your website? And then you look at efficiency KPIs as your market becomes saturated, meaning that you're now competing with 6 other companies for market dominance. Then you need to be really efficient, right? So you are a known brand here. You are a known company. You have known products. There is a known need. There is no like research into that you need to do. But you need to look at your own efficiency. And then it's like cost per contact. Like how much does it cost for me, the full cost of reaching a customer, to have a contact with a customer. And then you look at complaints per user. For example, do you need to do like Google and design away your contact details, or can you use this as a sales channel? And then you look at self-service rate. For example, if you're working with like how many of my customers actually are happy and do self-service through my software as a service thing, or my marketplace, or like how much need do people have, like how much manual help do people need. So those are the 5 groups of KPIs throughout the growth process that I like to have a look at. Because and then when I try to figure out where a company is when I'm working as a consultant, I always, because sometimes they are in a saturated market but they don't have a community, so we have to go back and do all of that over again. Okay, so that is what it is. Yeah, I have a few other things, but we've reached 9 o'clock, and both Martin and Yasmin has been forced to leave, I hope. And I don't want to take up more of your time. But I hope that this was helpful. So those are some KPIs that I use. Think about it. They are goals. They are not KPIs, but we have goals. We had usable KPIs and we have actionable KPIs. And these are the ones that actually help us grow. And through the growth process, I look at empathy, adoption, optimization, transition, and efficiency KPIs, depending upon what it is. So that was that. I hope that if you like this one, then please hit the like button if you're watching it through YouTube. And if you are watching through Facebook, then please write a comment, write your questions if you have any. If I should do more of this, if there is another topic I should do, just tell me, and I'll try to make sure that we pick it up at some point. We have more engagement now in the group and on Facebook, and I really like that. Please continue posting stories. If you're new to the group, please present yourself and say hi to everyone. It's not that difficult to do, and I think that it's a friendly thing to do. Because it also helps you when you're then going to ask a question later, or when you want to provide a source for some value to all the other members. Then I think it's really good thing to do, to just present yourself, say hi, and say something about yourself. Then you will not feel as nervous when you write the next post. So let's start doing that. Yeah. Thanks everyone. Thank you, anonymous Facebook user, and thank you, Thomas. Thanks for that. Another anonymous Facebook user. Thanks, man, or person. And I hope you guys have an awesome day. And it's Friday, and you know what they say about Fridays. I can't come up with anything they say about Fridays now, but thank God it is, or something. Have a good day. That's what I want to say. Bye-bye.